she came out and said everybody needs to be woke. That is not going to play well in Michigan, in Arizona, in Nevada, in Wisconsin. So if she speaks, as I think eventually she's going to have to do, we're going to see whether Cenk or I are right. And the spoiler alert is, I am.
So I'm really looking forward to watching this video with you guys. Cenk Uygur is on cloud 9 over Kamala Harris's new VP pick, Tim Walz, and I'm sure Michael Knowles is going to have something to say about it. And I think you guys are going to enjoy it too, so let's check it out.
Well, Democrats are now facing difficult questions about whether Harris overlooked the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, because he's Jewish. She's instead picked a firebrand leftist with a history of odd statements who doesn't represent a swing state or appear to add anything to the ticket. Frankly, the Trump campaign needed this. The Harris honeymoon's been effective. There's a lot to criticize about her record and her platform. What the most eye-catching attack from Trump in the past week has been about her apparently evolving racial identity.
I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one.
And regardless of whether you think Trump is right or wrong about that, identity politics is not going to be the strongest suit for a 78-year-old campaigning against a mixed-race woman. We all know that. It feels like 20 years ago. But until the Biden coup, this election was about global chaos, border chaos, and economic chaos. Trump now has 90 days to make sure it's not about Trump chaos instead. Here to debate all this is Daily Wire presenter and commentator Michael Knowles, the host of Emily Saves America, Emily Wilson, from the Democracy-ish podcast, Wajahat Ali, and the founder and CEO of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur. Well, welcome to all of you. First of all, Cenk, let me go to you. I saw a euphoric post on X from you earlier, absolutely ecstatic that Kamala Harris had gone for Tim Walz. Why are you so pleased about this?
Oh, I love it. And Piers, you've never been more wrong, and that's a tough thing. You know how I felt about Joe Biden, and I was right about that. And I'm going to be right about Tim Walz. He's a terrific pick for two reasons. Number one, he loves to fight, and he's a great fighter. So when he said, oh, we got a real estate baron and a venture capitalist telling us how the average guy should be, get out of here. J.D. Vance uses eyeliner. This guy's a football coach and a teacher. He barely got into politics in his 40s. He's terrific at fighting.
Cenk Uygur says that Tim Walz is a terrific fighter. Well, let's listen to what some of his veteran buddies might have to say about him.
He abandoned us, you know. I mean, what the hell kind of leader does that? I mean, he just, as soon as the shots were fired in Iraq, he turned and ran the other way and hung his hat up and quit.
Number two, all those progressive policies, you guys mentioned the trans issue. Go ahead, see how that turns out for you. That's DeSantis ruined his entire campaign running on that hateful ideology. But what you're leaving out is the awesome progressive policies that America loves that he passed. Paid family leave, abortion rights, red flag laws, closing the gun show loophole, free lunch for poor kids, free college for lower income Americans so they have a shot at this American dream. Those are all wildly popular. Please attack us on those. Come to Papa. Come to Papa. We're going to kick your ass with that stuff. So please make that mistake.
All right, let me go to Michael Knowles, who's the papa of the panel today. Michael, come to Papa. Apparently this is basically the new Messiah has just entered the race. Your thoughts?
I'm so pleased to say I agree with Cenk. I'm so happy that Kamala Harris has selected Mr. Walz. I was afraid that she might choose Mr. Shapiro, though that would have posed a political problem because Mr. Shapiro is a member of an ancient nomadic tribe that many in the Democratic Party don't seem to like very much anymore, especially with the regional war and Israel and Gaza. That could have been a big problem for the Intifada wing of the Democrat Party. So she's got to ditch him.
In other words, Democrats don't like Ben Shapiro's favorite people.
There was a chance that she would look at Mark Kelly. I thought Mark Kelly in Arizona would have been a really good choice, really tough for Republicans to run against. Instead, she chooses the governor of Minnesota, who presided over the worst of the BLM riots, watched Minneapolis burned to the ground and seem to be cheering it on half the time, and a governor whose chief accomplishment is putting tampons in the boys' bathroom in public schools. So I think this is great. You know, in 1984, the only state that Ronald Reagan did not win was Minnesota. This is not exactly a swing state, okay? It's very solidly blue, and it's Kamala leaning in to one half of her identity. I think the talk about her biracial identity is overdone. There's another schizophrenia in Kamala's identity. On the one hand, she's the most left-wing senator to the left of Bernie Sanders. On the other hand, she's the establishment pick, an empty suit who goes along with whatever the Democrats want. And so the question was, which Kamala are we going to get? Josh Shapiro would have been more her leaning into the establishment side, appeal to moderates, appeal to centrists. No, she's going all the way left. We'll see how that plays in Peoria.
Yeah, I mean, Uyger, I'd imagine,
That's
well, I won't
fantastic.
speak for you, but, well, hang on, let me bring in Uyger here. I mean, I'd imagine you're pretty happy about the fact it's now a very progressive ticket. But when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is tweeting how ecstatic she is about this ticket, does that not give you pause for thought that actually this might be just a gift to Trump, that he can now portray this as the most progressive left-wing ticket in Democrat history, and that could help him win?
No, this is a gift to Democrats and a gift to democracy. This is America's prosecutor versus America's criminal. This is America's football coach versus America's weirdo who apparently might have a couch fetish and is absolutely hated by his own base and is a venture capitalist and is -15. J.D. Vance has the lowest favorability rating of any vice presidential candidate in the past 45 years, and he can't help it. Each and every single time you ask him to be normal, he doubles down on the weird and attacks women. I think this is a gift for the Democrats. It shows that she has the ear to the ground. To your initial comment about AOC like him, you know who else just came out and praised Tim Walz, this flaming radical that the Republicans want to paint him as? Please do. This is going to be awesome. Joe Manchin, Independent, praised him. Nancy Pelosi praised him. And you have Bernie Sanders. The entire spectrum of Democrats are rallying behind the football coach, the veteran, the teacher, this Midwestern guy who's normal, who, by the way, conceived a child with his wife through IVF. And guess who is attacking IVF? Republicans. Guess who has overturned Roe v. Wade? Republicans. Guess who is mocking women who are childless? Republicans. Guess who is going after birth control? Republicans. They're talking about kids, protect the kids. Guess who gave kids free lunches? Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota. There's a photo of him surrounded by happy kids, contrasted to a photo of these really scared, terrified children. I think it was Sarah Huckabee Sanders, because Republicans are going against child tax credits, against family paid leave. This is going to be a slam dunk for Harris and Walz. I love it. I love it so much. This campaign, the Harris campaign, at least for the past 2 weeks, Piers, let's see, it's 3 months, has been on fire. It's enthusiasm, it's momentum, it's energy. And meanwhile, you got Donald ranting about Hannibal Lecter in a near-empty Georgia rally. Meanwhile, Harris has got Megan Thee Stallion and 10,000 people on.
Well, you know what? It's interesting you mentioned the Georgia rally before I come to Emily, because the Democrats actually did with that exactly the kind of thing they've always accused Trump of doing, which is they just grotesquely manipulated what happened. The pictures of the crowd, apparently people leaving and half empty, were all taken before Trump had got anywhere near the stage. So Democrats are going to start playing dirty like that. You kind of lose the moral halo, don't you?
So what Piers is referring to right there is Trump's inauguration day, when the press took the picture about 5 hours before the people started showing up and then claimed that nobody showed up for it, when the reality is there was a huge crowd. And then in relation to the convention there in Atlanta that they both had in the same exact place, there was 10,000 people there to see Megan Thee Stallion, and there's video of people leaving as soon as Megan Thee Stallion was done speaking, or done performing, or whatever she does, right? They weren't there for Kamala Harris. Yet when Trump went there, he didn't need anybody special to, open for him, and the crowd was jam-packed. There was more people in the hallway. There was people lined up outside and down the street because the place was at capacity.
The moral halo, don't you? Let me bring in Emily Wilson. Welcome to Uncensored. Great to have you here. So apparently, look, the Republicans are a bunch of women-hating morons, and this is a slam dunk now for the progressive left. Thoughts?
These rhetorics are genuinely so exhausting. I'm a Republican in Los Angeles. By the way, you'd be real shocked at how many people here love Trump. especially in Beverly Hills area. But it's so funny to hear, first of all,
well, I agree.
he's
Listen, on that point,
biggest
before you say anything else, I'm in Beverly Hills. I have a house in Beverly Hills. I completely agree with you. I remember in 2016 being in Beverly Hills, and you couldn't mention Trump's name without people dragging you into stocks and marching you through the streets and being pelted with rotten vegetables. Very different vibe now. That I am startled by the number of people that I have spoken to in Beverly Hills who are not even worried about being quiet about backing Trump. It's been fascinating. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to make that point because I have
on your Beverly Hills vote.
Well, Cenk, I'll come to. You can respond in a moment. I'm just saying, in Beverly Hills, it used to be you couldn't mention Trump's name. Very different vibe at the moment. Back to you, Emily. My apologies.
No, don't be sorry. It's actually a huge deal. When I say that there's a shift in culture, and I was mocked on Fox News saying that a red wave was coming, this is exactly what I'm talking about. When I used to wear a MAGA hat, I would literally be refused service and assaulted in public. And now everyone is coming up to me and being like, I have never been more excited to vote for Trump. And this is crazy. These are people that used to be very far left and very liberal. But it's funny him being endorsed by all the Democrats that have single-handedly ruined this country. And it's also weird to be screaming at the top of your lungs as men saying you're fighting for democracy, when to you that just means mutilating children. I think it was a great pick. I think it's going to set her back even further. We talk about J.D. Vance being unpopular. I'm sorry, how popular was Kamala this entire time, and even now?
Boy, her comments right there just wiped that smirk right off Cenk's face.
It seems to me, Cenk, there's a very good point there, isn't there? Is that she is riding this sunny wave right now, Kamala Harris, but her record is there to be attacked. She's never been successful when she's actually had to run for anything. She's got this position now by default of her boss being a decaying wreck. Are you worried about the sunny factor, as Kevin so articulately put it?
No, there's only one thing that could be a curveball here that I'm worried about. I'll get to that in a second. But first of all, you guys bragging about how Trump has got the Beverly Hills and billionaire vote locked up is hilarious. I love it. Please keep going. Okay, so and you're misunderstanding politics. It isn't about left versus right, as it is populist versus establishment. And the fact that she didn't pick an establishment candidate as her VP helps her. It doesn't hurt her. So you think like, oh, right-winger or more conservative Democrat, more establishment Democrat would help her with moderates. No, it wouldn't, because those independents are not the moderates of mainstream media lore that are looking for policies that are right down the middle. No, they're looking for policies that are right down the middle of Washington. They're looking for policies that are right down the middle of Main Street, that are actually popular, like paid family leave, higher wages, better health care, all of these things that the populist wing of the Democratic Party has, and that Tim Walz is the champion of. So I love how wrong you guys are, and I think this is a totally good night, Irene, for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. And so I can't get enough of it. Now, in terms of the one curveball that could hurt, it's none of the things that you guys mentioned, and nobody cares about the tampons and all that. No, it's the giant war that Netanyahu is desperately trying to start in the Middle East.
No, but Cenk, you're wrong. You're completely wrong. Look at the furore going on. People do care about this stuff. They do care, actually, about tampons being put into male locker rooms and restrooms. They care about biological males going into women's dressing rooms and so on. This stuff matters to people. It matters to parents, I can tell you.
Look, I want you to run the campaign on tampons. I can't wait. Okay, we're going to run on paid family leave. We're going to run on protecting women's rights. We're going to protect the average American worker. She's gone populist. It's fantastic. You run a hateful campaign about how much you hate trans people. And my message to you is bye, bye, bye. Okay, you guys have no chance running that campaign.
We've already
Please
well,
hang
on, Michael. I just want to say that when you say you guys, I have to remind you once again, Cenk, I'm not actually an identifying conservative. So
come on, Piers. After that intro?
No, you keep trying
that trick. After that intro where you framed Tim Walz as totally radical left? Come on, his policies, the core policies that he passed are all over 70% in popularity. You framed him as a radical. Are you kidding me?
Tim Walz Tim Walz is a progressive, radical, left-wing guy. He is. Now, Mike.
And before we continue, I want to show you this post from DC Drano, where Tim Walz admits that he is a socialist.
But we can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
Now, Michael Knowles, let me bring you in here.
Is America radical left-wing, Piers?
Let me bring in Michael.
Is America radical left-wing? Because all of his policies poll over 70%.
Look, Cenk, if those polls were conducted in Minnesota, where he was elected, yeah, those numbers mean nothing. Once Americans find out who Tim Walz is, that he's a deserter, that he dodged war, amongst other things, those polling numbers are going to go down. I mean, nobody had heard about this dude until today. Maybe some people, but the typical American, we didn't know who he was until today. He wasn't even one of your front runners.
Well, let's see.
Thank you for saying that America's radical left wing. I appreciate it.
Maybe you'll be right. Maybe you'll be right. I don't think you will. But I'm not saying that as someone who's a conservative. But Michael Knowles, you are a self-identifying conservative. Cenk doesn't think any of this stuff matters. None of the gender stuff matters. None of the ID stuff matters. None of the tampons in boys' dressing rooms matter. None of that matters, apparently.
Well, Cenk challenges us to run a campaign on gender ideology in public schools. We already have done that, and it's been pretty successful. That was the Glenn Youngkin campaign that turned a purple and really pretty blue Commonwealth Virginia red. Ron DeSantis ran for re-election in large part on that issue. He soared to a re-election victory. You mentioned, Piers, there's global outrage over the unfairness of transgenderism, even in the Olympics. So it's an important issue. The fact that Governor Walz not only put the tampons in the boys' bathroom in the public schools, but also came out and embraced the radical trans policies for little kids that is tearing families apart, that's putting kids on really dark paths that lead to higher rates of anxiety, depression, suicidality, all sorts of dark stuff, sterility, earlier death, the list goes on. That is not going to play very well in the middle of the country. Now, I think Cenk makes a good point in distinguishing between the left versus right debate and the establishment versus populist debate. The problem right now, though, is that the establishment is quite leftist. Don't forget, the people pushing abortion up until the moment of birth, the people pushing for transing the kids, the people pushing to totally open up the border, the people embracing the campus intifada going on campuses around the country, that's the establishment Democrat Party going all the way up to Joe Biden. And Kamala Harris is an establishment figure. Nobody's more establishment than Joe Biden. The guy's been in politics since 1972 at the national level. And Kamala Harris was brought in just to pinch hit for him because his brain has turned to applesauce. So she is playing both of these things right now, but she's playing both because the establishment is so left-wing. And she has raised a lot of money, and that's impressive. But she hasn't really done it because, as we've all observed, including Kevin, she hasn't really said anything since she became the nominee. She doesn't do press conferences. The one or two times she's spoken off the cuff, it hasn't gone very well. She's not really good on her feet. She hasn't articulated much of a policy vision until today, making an unforced error, picking this radical leftist lunatic out in Minnesota. So yes, she's made a lot of money because the Democrat establishment was keeping some money on the line when they were trying to push Joe Biden out. If she can stay in the basement of the White House until November, maybe she wins. But if she has to go out and defend these policies, it's not going to play in Pennsylvania. She came out on Jimmy Fallon's show, said she wants to end fracking forever, once and for all. That's not going to play well. She came out and said everybody needs to be woke. That is not going to play well in Michigan, in Arizona, in Nevada, in Wisconsin. So if she speaks, as I think eventually she's going to have to do, we're going to see whether Cenk or I are right. And the spoiler alert is, I am.
So there you have it, an excellent debate. I have no idea why Cenk and Uyger are so excited about this new VP pick. It makes no sense to me. It doesn't pull in anybody to the party that they didn't already have as far as new Democratic voters. Michael Knowles just listed a bunch of swing states that it's not going to help them win one bit. And I'm really looking forward to the election. One thing I will say before I go, as soon as the polls open in your area, make sure you go out and vote early. We don't want any mishaps like what happened with CrowdStrike to affect you on voting day, on election day. So just get out there, get ahead of the game, and vote the earliest chance that you have. And other than that, come visit me on Saturday, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. I will be live with Atlas Thugged for episode 2 of the Jar Openers podcast, and I hope to see you there. And other than that, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and share this video. That's what really helps out the most. And I'll see you guys in the next one.